I guess you could say she really turned up the heat. What's up, guys? I'm Percy here, and here we are to do the first impressions. And I mean, like, first. Like, gosh darn it, we got a chapter and, like, the end of a chapter. First impressions of Gawain, the blazing knights of famine, and the post-time skip of Four Knights of the... I wanted to do this for Percy. Then I just forgot. So I'm going to retroactively go do his, especially considering we have more than first impressions of him now. I have a bunch of thoughts about Percy, but I figured I might as well cover Gawain too. I want to get this done as quickly as possible, so I didn't have a Percy situation where it kind of just fell to the back of my mind. So we have a fat chunk to talk about in oh so little time. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Heading me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Gawain, they're back. Hallelujah. Notably, in terms of the reintroduction order, I believe that's the big thing I do got to get to. I'll take it. Mainly because I feel like Gawain was kind of in a weird spot at the end of pre-time skip. Like, notably, unlike a lot of our other casting crew, who definitely had, like, opportunities for growth, to put it lightly, in terms of like your Tristans, your Lances, your, even ironically enough, your Donnies, your Anne, your Nazis, where there was like a ton of untapped potential where they could go. I kind of didn't really have an idea for Gawain, mainly because Gawain isn't, how I gotta put this without sounding crazy, Gawain isn't that big a part of part 1, which sounds ludicrous to say, right? But like, overall, the mystery behind Gawain didn't feel like it could be solved or really developed too much off screen. Like, notably, the mystery of Percy was perfectly set up to sort of be, you know, taken care of, if not developed even more over the course of his little nap, or obviously abandoning everybody. Donnie and his abilities had just started to develop and evolve even further, and we sort of had a path where he could go. Anne just figured out her magic and was starting to evaluate and experiment with it. We figured out where she could go. Donnie is still the go, but Nasian's also in a pretty interesting spot where, like, I kind of had a general idea where they were gonna go just based on their previous training, and even then, Nakwa managed to take a sledgehammer straight to my ankles and absolutely shatter them bad boys. But with that being the case, everyone else sort of had a direction, but Gawain was kind of vague, mainly because the only sort of intense mystery we have about Gawain is the idea of her possibly being a homunculus type thing, where, you know, she's not organic, and not actually Kay's kid, more so a creation, a really false child? I don't know, it feels weird to say it, but not even in the same way that Gother's a thing, because Gother is a puppet, but I don't think Gawain is a puppet. I think Gawain is, like, actually her own biological human being, but I felt like not a lot of that could be developed over the course of a time skip without making us feel like we missed out on a lot, and I'll admit, I was kind of right, because, at least for my first impressions, Gawain has kind of stayed the same. While chapter 157 definitely did scare the soul out of me, to put it lightly, chapter 158 really goes into depth about Gawain and ultimately calmed my wayward heart when we get to see that Gawain is still Gawain once out of the influence of her father. Once again, I do admit, it feels like part 2, or I guess we kind of do have to call it part 2. Part 2 of Four Knights is just flatline continuing off where Gawain was at the end of part 1. And I know, you may be like, Pencil Man, shock horror, that's what time skips do. They don't exactly... Why must you do this now? But they don't exactly, like, sit stagnantly. In fact, it would only make sense that she continues off of part 2, since she was basically in stasis for 2 years. She might as well call her Percy 2.0. But I still feel like, with that being the case, we're in a good spot. Because, I'll admit, I didn't feel like a lot of her development could take place off screen, and I didn't want it to. Because one of the biggest things I always worry about in time skips, or whenever time skips happen, is that I feel like we're going to miss interesting character moments. But at least so far for Gawain, we're just getting a further establishment of what her character is, and how it relates to other characters, and how she feels about other characters. Obviously, you can tell by her rather... I'm just going to call it flat out fake personality around her dad. It's clear that the hints and fears and the reason she reacted the certain ways she did in part 1, when Arthur showed up and was like, being a bad girl, Gawain, don't make me call you Pops. It's clear that it existed for a certain way, shape, and form. Actually getting to see that dynamic, interesting. Actually getting to see her completely lose that fake facade that she was hiding behind, also great. Where we see her immediately burst or essentially have her bubble bursted by her father in the same moment with the reveal of Percy and the crew. That's good. I like the idea that Gawain has to put on this kind of face, this kind of facade, and ultimately it sort of explains and not necessarily applies the same dynamic that Escanor had in the original series, but a variation of it, where there's the real Gawain, who typically stays uniform across both of her incarnations, whether she's small Gawain or big Gawain, and then there's the false, more demure, more hiding, please don't do anything to me, father, I swear I'm a good person, Gawain that we see here. And I like that. Notably, establishing the dynamic and laying it out clean and clear is a lot better than just the hinting that was taking place in part 1. Do we get much of it? I don't think so. I think we are going to kind of leave Kay here for a little bit. I could see Kay popping up and being more important later. But I think overall he's going to be a more haunting presence in the narrative, specifically around Gawain's character. Hey, I'm perfectly fine with that. You are going to not hear any complaints from me about that. But with that being the case, the other thing I will admit I like about Gawain post-time skip is that she sort of builds on this little subplot, this little underlying point of actually not necessarily being all too happy with Percy and the choice. Because, like I mentioned in the review, I was pretty scared that this just wasn't going to happen. I'll admit, I was kind of disappointed in Nasian's reaction when Percy first got up. I was not surprised, but still a little bit disappointed in Donna's reaction when Percy was revealed to be back. I was adequately satisfied with Anne's reaction, and because, like, there is the balance. Anne is the main female love interest for Percy, likely going to be the endgame. I'm sorry, any Nasian's fans out there, like, I have two functioning eyes. But with that being the case, at the same time, there was a reaction, and Gawain sort of builds on that reaction. Of course, I do love the fact that she did genuinely miss Percy. That's what all these different scrolls and incantations were for, all these notes. She genuinely wanted Percy back because she developed some sort of bond and connection to him, especially considering right at the end of part 1 where Percy does the thing, leaps down, and saves off the miasma to go save Gawain with Tristan and Lance, showing how their connection is actually a deeply forged bond. Seeing that bond was two-way, beautiful. I like it. I'm happy to see that Gawain is much less of the I do all this for myself and the bad women. Now, I do this all for myself and the friends I deeply care about, even if that friend were to go on to abandon me, like Percy did. And you can see that she is genuinely serious about Percy not wanting to, or no, her not wanting Percy to abandon them again. That clearly hurt her, and how really wrong it was. And I'm glad we're getting the hint of that. I do believe it's all built up for a certain other Night of the Apocalypse to come in and go absolutely crazy over, but still, I like that she plays into that subplot. And obviously, you know, the biggest, baddest, craziest thing, I'm happy we're having more development with her on a power front. One thing I'll admit, Nakaba is very, very, very sparse with Gawain in part 1, well after her introduction. Notably, we're over twice the length of her introduction now in narrative, but in terms of, like, Gawain and her main fights, it's against Chaos Gallant, Pelgard, off-screen against the demons, and then we have a little bit of a spat with her and the Chaos Knights, which doesn't last very long. So, like, we got very little of Gawain and her potency. And notably, she loses Sunshine very, very quickly. So to have her with 2 years of charge, and not just 2 years of charge, but the ability to wield Sunshine, even in her smaller base state, I like that. Once again, opening up the door. Especially considering Sunshine and Gawain herself is still such a massive mystery that I feel like is not going to be elaborated on for a while. Like, I legit don't believe we're going to get any clarification on how she got Sunshine, what she really is, her existence, anything like that. I don't see us getting that clarification until after all the knights are reintroduced. And while we only have 2 nights to go, I could easily see that lasting like another 30 chapters. And even then, I think Gawain sort of falls lower on the totem pole in terms of actually explaining what she is, her background, and her abilities. So I'm glad she's not limited to just her generic magic when in her small form, meaning she has access to things like Passionate Sun, which we only saw her use in her big form in the rare fights. She also fought the Testament Beast at the end of part 1. There we go. She fought that alongside Tristan and used her powers there. But still, it feels like it wasn't enough. It was a little bit of a sprinkle. So opening up and seeing that, that's really, really good. Her diversity of magic increasing is also very, very good. I do admit, I see the potential for further growth, which I think is necessary. Once again, we're telling a different story than we were in Seven Deadly Sins, where characters and their power progression is more naturally built into the narrative. Meanwhile, in Seven Deadly Sins, a lot of characters and their abilities were already kind of established. They just got stronger. Meanwhile, Gawain opens up the door to diversity and development, considering she still needs to do all this chanting to do basic things like teleportation and spell casting. So I do see the vision of her becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And obviously, you know what I'm most happy about? Big gains. Big Gawain. Big gains. I'm so happy she's back. And admittedly, I'll take this. I'll admit, I'm still very confused on why Sunshine doesn't work at all, like the previous versions of it. Why it works on a storage system rather than a application system, where both Mael and Escanor both just had the application system where Sun, in a relative position to them, on planet that they were on, power. I don't know why it works like this. But once again, I'm fine with that mystery, and I'm happy she has anything at all. And the fact that she's able to switch between the big form and the small form. And I do like that her aura's gotten stronger. All of that. It goes to show that the time skip wasn't useless for her on a power level. On a character level, it's basically useless, which is okay. Because once again, I don't want too much character development to take place off screen. And I do like that the current character development she has is just a continuation of her part 1 character development that we were actively there for. So I'm fine with that. But I'm also very, very happy with the fact that she has developed drastically. The one thing I will admit, though, we got to get her a new fit. The fit's not fitting right now. I'm not even, like, in the sense that, like, clearly it doesn't rip. It works. It's not like Escanor shirts where they always, like, burst right off. It's clear that the fit does maintain itself. She shrinks right back down and she's back into a regular fit. But, like, just give her new clothes, Nakaba. You cooked with Hauser's design. Even if it is literally just... See, look, I called him Hauser. You cooked with Donnie's design. Even if it is just Season 1 Hauser. You cooked with Anne's design. And I can't even say it's a ripoff of anything because I can't remember off the top of my dome piece. It's just in a good design. Nasian's... The fit is fine. The hair is a little bit awkward, but it's grown on me. And Percy's design, once again, I'm smelling the Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan. I'm seeing the vision on that one. So hopefully the one thing I do desperately need from Gawain immediately, indubitably, and rapidly, I do need a different fit. The fit must be changed. This is a fine fit. You can keep the hairstyle and everything. And I do like the fact that her hair did grow longer. I do overall like the newer design, but... And I will admit, it differentiates her a lot from her pre-time skip self, considering she has gotten a decent bit taller. She obviously gotten buffer and just way more jacked in her taller form. And the hair is longer. I do like that. But give her a new fit, Nakaba. I don't want him to just use the old fit, though. I can almost sense that happening, like she reveals that she kept it, and since it's a fit that accommodates her growth anyway, it would automatically just readjust. The reason she didn't wear it around K is because it was non-formal, like, quite clearly. It was literally a combination of Merlin's old fit and Escanor's old fit, and that fit on either of them was not very formal, but still, diversify Nakaba. Have a bit of fun with it. And I think that's the big thing that I'm most excited for, and that's the one thing I do want to get across with these impressions. I feel like Gawain's going to be a very fun character. A fun character with a whole lot of tragedy behind it, but in a very similar vein to Escanor, where Escanor was kind of like just that guy. Gawain's going to be just that gal, especially considering we still do not know the full depth of her bag. This is the one character who I'm confident will pull out an Omni bag. Unlike a Lance, where I'm definitely worried about his magic diversity until he gets like a Spirit Spear or some sort of equivalent, like an actual Sacred Treasure that fits him and not just White Deer. Unlike Tristan, who I can kind of just see going down the light, darkness, twilight path line, and maybe just doing different constructs and different attacks with that, especially considering where he's revealed to be. And even unlike Percy, who once again sort of falls into that construct slash hope slash healing slash... once again, kind of just construct ability. I feel like Gawain, just like Merlin, has the freedom and flexibility to kind of just pull out anything, and I won't ask any questions. And notably, it's good to have a character like that in your narrative, considering how much they can diversify a fight. So overall, I'm very, very happy with Gawain. Once again, the only critique I have is the fit, and I do hope that something comes along with her mystery. Honestly, I'll say later rather than sooner. I won't even say it's a problem. I'm perfectly fine with waiting on Gawain and her history and the mystery that comes behind it. Once again, because I still feel like we're relatively early on within the narrative. Which sounds crazy, considering we've already boxed one of the 4 evils. But remember, that was mostly King, a character who will not be allowed to box one of the 4 evils. We don't know where Lance is. We don't know where Tristan is. So far, Gawain has done nothing but excite me for the future of Four Knights of the Apocalypse. But That's what I think. Please know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you like how Gawain's been handled so far immediately in her first 2 chapters or so? Are you excited to see more of Gawain? Do you want to get her mystery sooner or later? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave Sun Passion. Instead of passion and sun, leave Sun Passion in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. So now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can also order what video you would like. Also, do a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Zera, Greyhound, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, Redwolf 4765, Paris Arnold, Astro, and Brandon Payne. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Zombie Hunter, Sean, Midnight Lord 21, King, Meliodas, Kevin, Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 members: Autumn, Mornings, Lazo, and Fine. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members: Robbie Uchiha, Jay Warrior, and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a big ol' thank you to our $10 patrons: Michael Williamson, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.